You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast, episode 33. This week on the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast, we're talking public land ethics, and we're going to continue our profile segment and feature the Cackling Goose. All right, welcome to the 33rd episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Palm, and you can check out everything that has to do with this show at hpoutdoors.com. You can find us on iTunes for all of our past episodes if you're just recently new to the show and you want to catch up. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're active on all the social media sites. We've got a listeners group on Facebook where if you'd like to come in there and chat with the other listeners of the show, you can do so by just requesting access and we'll let you in. And, a lot of good guys in there talking waterfowl hunting and, all that good stuff. So, check us out on social media if you're on those sites and, get involved with the HP Outdoors crew and talking waterfowl hunting. Joining me normally, every week or every month, I guess right now, but, joining me on the show typically is, the co-host of this show, Dan Harushka. And as some of you may already know, Dan has recently welcomed a baby to the world, I guess. His son Dawson was born on May 21st. So certainly a big congratulations going out to Dan and his wife, Erin. And he's going to sit this episode out because, as you can imagine, he's got, two young girls and, now the infant. So he's pretty busy these days. And, obviously got to take care of everything at home first. So just going to be me flying solo this episode, but we expect to have Dan back, for next month's episode. And certainly as we continue to roll on here, we'll have Dan back into the fold. So big congratulations to him. And, an interesting fact about, Dan's son being born, I've talked about it a little bit on the show as well, but I've also got a son who happens to be born on May 21st. So Dan's son Dawson and my son Taylor share the same birthday, exactly 4 years apart. So kind of cool how sometimes things work out. So pretty neat, and we wish them all nothing but the best, and we look forward to getting Dan back on the show here in the near future. So for the rest of this episode, it's just going to be me. So that's either a good thing for you or a bad thing for you. But hopefully, you don't get too tired of hearing me, flap away this episode. But got some good things that we're going to talk about. Going to talk a little bit about public land ethics. And, as a guy who spent most of my life hunting public ground or public access type ground, I've got a little bit of experience with this and some of the, negatives and the drawbacks and also some of the good things that come with it. But we're going to talk a little bit about your sort of your responsibilities and things that you can do as a waterfowl hunter to make not only your experience better when hunting public ground, but also, the people that might be on that ground sharing it with you. So we're going to talk a few things about that, and going to profile the Cackling Goose, which is a kind of a neat bird that, certainly some guys around the country don't get an opportunity to hunt very much, us included out here on the, in the Atlantic Flyway, but I'm going to talk a little bit about that and, cover some other things, throughout the way here, but couple things I wanted to sort of hit on here in the early goings is, this time of year can be tough. I mean, as I've alluded to, Dan's got his son being born, so he's busy. I've been building the deck, which, if you've been listening to the show, has been an ongoing thing for me, but I'm happy to say that it's finally completely finished. And, I'll be moving on to other adventures and things of that nature around the house. But, where I'm going with this is it's kind of busy, we're getting into the summer. Everyone's got things going on, and it's, it's tough to, kind of connect back to waterfowl hunting sometimes. And, if I get a day, here and there where I can get out and do something kind of related to hunting, it's always a good thing. But, I sort of keep my eye on what's going on out there. And, this time of year does have some cool stuff going on. One thing you'll notice around this time of year, kind of rolling into the summer, is a lot of the new products will start hitting the market. And, our friends over at Higdon Outdoors have been releasing some of their new decoys that they're going to be bringing to the market this fall. So if you haven't seen them, you can check them out on Facebook. They've got all the stuff being posted up there. So we're a big fan of their products, and they've really got some great stuff coming out for this fall. And also, we talked a little bit about waterfowl identification and hunting opportunities as far as teal are concerned early on in the show. And there's starting to be some reports coming out now about how those early teal seasons went in states that just introduced them, Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, things like that. And overall, the statistics that I've been reading about and, the conservation management teams in those areas are really happy and are considering it a quote unquote overwhelming success in hunters' abilities to identify birds properly and harvest, the right species of birds and that kind of thing. And, I think that's fantastic. And these stories allude to it may open up opportunities for hunters in other states to get these same chances, which is great. And I'm, all for increased hunter opportunity, but part of the cynic in me wants to believe that, maybe some guys, if they harvested a bird that they thought was a teal and wasn't, they might not have just reported it, appropriately and things like that. So I hope that's not the case, but, nevertheless, I hope that it does create more opportunities for other hunters around the country. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. Another thing that's kind of been coming out recently that's pretty cool, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, Ducks Unlimited has partnered with some really good guys to create these short films called DU films. And they're really basically designed to sort of capture the essence of what it means to truly be a waterfowl hunter. And, the cinematography work done on these videos is fantastic. The content is great. They're just really cool to watch and see the stories that go into it. And, there's a lot of things in there that I think a lot of people can relate to. And that's sort of why they're so engaging and things like that. So definitely check those out. You can go on to DU's website at ducks.org/DU films and check those out if you're looking for a way to kill some time and check out some waterfowl related content. So a couple good things going on there to sort of help us get through these summer months. But September and depending on where you're at, August, when some seasons start off, it's going to be here before you know it. So it's time to start thinking towards fall and what you're going to be doing, getting any kind of gear that you might need lined up and that kind of stuff. And leads me to something that Dan and I have recently got involved with. And, it's an opportunity that we're thankful and we're happy to say that we're going to be able to pass along to the listeners of this show. And a couple months back, I guess it was now, we were approached by some of the guys at DeLorme, and through our talks with them and some of the products that they've got going on, we were able to form a partnership with them. And, it's going to be a partnership that we're going to be able to pass on to you all, the listeners of this show. And we're proud to say that that's going to start, essentially right now. And basically what it is DeLorme has recently, pushed out an application that essentially turns your smartphone, tablet, things of that nature into a legitimate GPS device. It's the app is called EarthMate. And essentially what it is you can download it to your phone, pull it up, and it's literally just like any kind of GPS that you would take with you in the woods or out on the water, things of that nature. And the platform is really cool. The more I play with it, the more I like it. And the reason why is because it interfaces seamlessly with your desktop computer or your laptop. So you can go onto the DeLorme website, sign in through your profile. You can see your topo maps, satellite imagery, things of that nature, drop waypoints, make routes, tracks, things of all that kind of stuff. And it seamlessly automatically transfers over to your phone. No wires, no nothing like that. Unlimited topo downloads, all the resources that you need, to have an effective GPS device. Where I see myself really using this time of year is, when I'm driving around, if I see a field that's got geese in it, bam, I drop a waypoint right there. If I see a big body of water or a roost location, bam, I drop a point there, and you can, select a different emblem or logo that you want to represent that particular thing. Then I can come home, I get on the computer and I look at these aerial maps. I can see where birds are hanging out, roosting, loafing, that kind of thing. I can see where they're feeding, and I can look at it on that big scale and try to connect the dots and help start putting that puzzle together. And that's something that you can continue to do throughout the season. And all that data is just going to continue to collect. The great thing about this app too is, let's say you're way off the beaten path somewhere and you don't get cell phone signal per se. The app works off of the GPS in your phone. So you can input data onto there. And then when you get back into Wi-Fi or internet access, it'll automatically all sync up. So it takes care of everything for you. And, it's just a really cool app that I think that a lot of guys can use for waterfowl hunting, but, deer hunting and big game, things of that nature, definitely can use this app in that application. So the way it works, as far as through us is DeLorme was kind enough to put together a discount code for us, which is simply HP Outdoors. So you can go to the DeLorme website, enter the HP Outdoors discount code at checkout, and you'll receive $10 off the app, which is typically $29.99 to download. And basically you'll get it for $19.99, and it gives you a full year subscription to unlimited downloads, unlimited use of the portal on their website. There's no add-ons, no in-app purchases, none of that kind of stuff's going on. It's when you pay the $20, it's yours to use for the entire year, as much as you want. So we really like the app. We're super happy with it so far. And, we encourage everyone to check that out. So, I'll have all that stuff on the show notes of this page, or of this episode, so you can go onto our website and get that information. But again, go onto the DeLorme website. When you go into their, the store and you're shopping, or you can add things to your cart, you can see all the products that they offer. But the EarthMate app, you can add to the cart, go through the process, and then at checkout time, enter the HP Outdoors discount code to get the $10 off. It's also good for any of the Atlas products that they have and things like that. So, definitely check them out. If you have any other questions or anything, you can reach out to us and we can get you some more information on that kind of stuff. But we definitely appreciate the guys at DeLorme partnering up with us, and look forward to working with them in the future and continuing to pass along the great opportunities to you all that listen to this show. So, I think that covers about everything that I was going to do sort of in this initial phase. So it's kind of weird without Dan here. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of, I'm used to having him help me with the transitions and that kind of stuff. But I guess this is about the time we would typically transfer into the, duck or goose profile. So I guess we'll do that as normal. And this week we're going to feature the Cackling Goose. All right. The Cackling Goose averages a male length of 22 to 30 inches. As far as weight, the males are going to come in between 3.5 to 5.5 pounds, where the females are going to be in the range of 2 to 5 pounds, I guess. As far as their description, the Cackling Goose resembles the Canada goose in appearance. Essentially, the males are slightly larger than the females, and both sexes have long, sort of black necks with that white chin strap, The breast, abdomen, and flanks range in coloring from light gray to dark chocolate brown, either blending into the black neck or being separated, a bit by a white collar. The back and scapulars are dark brown. The rump is blackish, and the tail is blackish brown with a U-shaped white band on the rump. The bill, the legs, and the feet are black, and the call is a honking sound, high-pitched yelp, or a sort of a distinctive squeaking cackle. A cackling goose is a small-bodied group divided by 4 subspecies consisting of the Aleutian, the cackling, the Taverners, and the Richardson's geese, and they're proportionally smaller, or they have a proportionally smaller, stubbier, triangular-shaped bill than their Canada goose counterparts. As far as breeding, the cackling geese tend to nest more in northern habitats than what the Canada goose would, and female cackling geese lay an average of 2 to 8 eggs, with an average incubation period of 25 to 28 days. As far as their wintering and migration, habits are concerned, the Aleutian cackling and Taverners geese primarily winter in the west of the Continental Divide, while the Richardson's geese winter mainly in the southern central flyway states. So as I mentioned, we don't really get much opportunity on these at all out here in the Atlantic flyway. As far as the population though is concerned, back in the 1970s, the Aleutian geese subspecies was down to fewer than essentially 500 birds, and it's been quite a success story as far as management and population estimates are concerned. Basically, through the observations of neck-banded Aleutian cackling geese during periods back through 2006, 2007, they were estimating maybe 118,000 birds, which was about 13% greater year over year, which was awesome. Estimates for the Aleutian geese have increased and have continued to increase on average of 14% per year, up through 2006-7 timeframe. And the 2008 fall estimate brought the geese population in at about 173,000 birds. The Taverner's cackling geese basically was estimated around 75,000 birds, where the Richardson's subspecies is thought to be sort of increasing, but in limits, in the 680,000 range, something like that. So obviously the largest of the subspecies as far as population is concerned. But as far as harvest management perspective and things of that nature, cackling geese are usually lumped into season lengths and bag limits with other white-cheeked geese. So if you're hunting in areas where particular subspecies and things might be more frequent, you might want to check that particular state's regulations to ensure that there's no additional requirements or regulations on the cackling goose. So that's going to do it for this week's profile of the cackling goose. All right, so the main portion of this show, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about hunting public land, and not so much tips, techniques, and tactics, but more ethics and ways to just make it a more enjoyable experience for you and the people that you're hunting with and the people that you're hunting around, because we've all heard the horror stories and we may have experienced the horror stories of hunting public ground and, the things that can come into that. So I'm going to share some of my sort of do's and don'ts, and I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing if any of you all share these same concerns or implement these same practices. So I got to be honest with you. I've spent a lot of time hunting public ground in my life, and the more and more I hunt it, the worse it seems to get, unfortunately. And it's gotten to the point where there's days when I'm, especially Saturdays, when I'm expecting other people to be in the field, when I'm driving to the public areas, the public access points, almost get this like knot in my stomach as I approach the parking area, just anticipating how many vehicles am I going to see, or, how many guys are going to want to try to get to the same spot I'm getting to, and all of that kind of stuff. So, I've spent a lot of time really trying to minimize my exposure to the things that are going to kind of create a bad situation in the field. And for me, I'd rather be in a less desirable space on the land versus have a conflict with someone else because we're both trying to get to the same spot. So here's a couple things that I think are good to keep in mind as you hunt public areas. And if you've got others, I'd love to hear from you. You can hit us up through social media or emails at info@hpoutdoors.com and let us know what you think about these. But the first one I think that I'm going to touch on is just sort of it seems like it's common sense, but yet again, I've had so many people do this to me. Maybe it's not as common sense as I would think, but essentially my number one seed is don't set up too close to another person. This to me is sort of a cardinal rule, but it also seems like one that it instantly starts a contentious situation with the other group. If the party that is there, if they're there first, it's essentially their spot for the day. Yes, it's public ground and everyone's entitled to use the space and all of that sort of stuff. But realistically, you can't expect to have a great hunt when you're both right on top of each other. So my recommendation is, if someone beats you to, the spot, always have a backup plan in mind. Think about somewhere else that you can go ahead of time. Have a plan B and a plan C. You have to be ready for that kind of contingency. So in the event that someone's there, you're not kind of standing there with your pants down, like, now what do I do? Where do I go? And pretty much the day ends up being a scratch, because by the time you finally do find somewhere to go, it's probably past shooting light and you're frazzled. So make sure that you have a couple plans in place before you kind of get into it. The second thing, that I think is pretty important to consider is, some areas are just smaller than others, and it's just not going to be easy to get far enough away from people. So you might have to hunt in closer proximity than you'd like to. And I mean, the whole setting up too close to someone is relative to the size that you're in. If you're hunting a 5,000 acre marsh, you could probably find some other spots. If you're hunting a smaller spot, or, a wildlife management area with a smaller wetland on it, you might have to kind of work it out a little bit differently. But to my second point, when you're in the field, when there are ducks working another group that are sort of near you, and you may see these ducks working, don't try to entice those birds away from that group by aggressively calling or, doing something crazy that might interfere, with their ability to harvest those birds. One, you don't want them to do it to you, when you got birds working you. And then two, if you're successful and you call those birds over and then you harvest them after those guys were working them, it's likely that you're going to have a contentious situation if you guys meet up in the parking lot or something like that after the hunt. So again, these techniques are just designed to try to avoid conflict in general. It's sort of the golden rule: do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. So if you've got birds working your spread, you don't want other people sitting there hail calling on their, their duck commander goose call or duck call or whatever it is. You don't want that kind of stuff going on when you're trying to enjoy a good hunt. So be courteous of others, and hopefully they will return the favor, for you. Sort of to that end, when you are picking your setup, you want to kind of be careful and try to be mindful to not set up downwind of other people, in general. But in the event that you do have to do that, don't sit there and take like passing shots or, trying to knock down a bird that's working them that comes near you in circles, and you're trying to hit the Hail Mary and knock that bird off. I mean, realistically, you're not going to harvest that bird. If you shoot, you're just going to spook it. So the other group's not going to have an opportunity either. So again, this is something that's going to cause, some contention between you and them, and, it doesn't really work out good for anybody. So be very careful when you decide to shoot, and make sure that they're birds that you're actually working, and you're not just trying to pick off one from, a group up the way a little bit. The next point that I'm going to touch on is probably one of the most common that I see when I'm hunting. It's definitely the most frustrating, and it's one that a lot of people are guilty of, and that's sky busting. I mean, when you're shooting at birds that are outside of optimal range, you're doing a lot of things. One, you're educating birds, you're spooking those birds from anybody else around you that might have an opportunity, and it's just a selfish thing to do. I mean, if you just want to shoot your gun, go to the range, bust some clays, do that kind of stuff. When you're shooting at birds out of, sky busting, you're potentially wounding them to where they, will succumb to their injury later. There's just a magnitude of things that reasons why you shouldn't sky bust. And where I hunt particularly, I can see up and down the waterway, and I can see birds working, and then I'll hear gunshots, and I will often turn to my hunting buddy and just say, there's no way that they were shooting at those birds. I mean, we've literally, hunting with Dan, and we've literally seen guys shooting at birds over 100 yards in the air. And empty their guns. And it's, I'm not exactly sure why they're doing it, what the motivation is. I mean, I don't get it, but if you're doing that, you can guarantee that you're going to make everybody around you mad. And, I always equate sky busting to something that I heard Lee Lakosky talk about on the Wired to Hunt podcast a while back, where they were talking about letting that 3 or 4 year old buck walk and hopes that it turns into that giant 5-year-old. And Lee's point is, if your philosophy is, well, if I don't shoot this deer, the neighbor or the next property owner over is going to shoot it, so then you shoot that buck before he reaches optimum maturity, you're that guy that the other neighbor's saying, well, if I don't shoot it, the neighbor's going to shoot it. So it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing where, you think that and the other person's thinking the same thing. So you're both ended up shooting those kind of deer. It's the same thing when you're sky busting. Like when birds are coming in range or they're working your spread and maybe they skirt just outside of comfortable range, but you decide, well, if I don't shoot at them, they're going to fly down here and get shot at. So let me get mine off here and crack a few off. You're just moving that momentum forward for the next guy who feels like he has to shoot at birds that are slightly out of range because he knows that if they come by you, you're going to shoot at them, kind of thing. So if you show other people around you that you're not going to shoot at birds that are out of range, hopefully they will extend that same courtesy. Of course, it can't be guaranteed, but regardless, if you're shooting at birds out of range, you're not going to take them anyway. So, you're just wasting your ammunition and that sort of thing. So like I said, if you like to just shoot your gun or you like to feel a recoil, something like that, go to the range. But try to be ethical when you're taking your shots, especially when you're in areas with a lot of guys around. So, I can't reiterate this one enough. It's probably the number one seed as far as if you want to make people upset in the field is the sky bust. I mean, you heard Sean Stahl when we had him on the show. I think Dan asked him, what's one thing that you'd say, tell somebody not to do when they're in the field? First thing he said was sky bust. So, that's definitely out there and definitely something to sort of keep in mind. All right. Another one that I cannot stand when I'm hunting anywhere in general, but you see this a lot in public ground. There's nothing worse than getting out to a spot where you want to set up for the day and it gives daylight and you see soda cans, candy bar wrappers, shotgun hulls, rusted, sitting on the bank, things of that kind of stuff. Clean up what if you pack it in, pack it out. That's basically where we're at with this. Respect the people that are going to hunt there after you, respect the environment, respect the habitat. It's just really frustrating when you see guys just go out there and make a mess of everything. So, I'm not really going to belabor this, but, be an adult, take care of your mess and, leave it better than you found it is always a good way to, sort of think about it when you're out in the field. Another one that I know a lot of guys get fired up about, this one doesn't bother me as much because I don't hunt like this particularly, but when it comes to boat ramps and getting your boat launched and that kind of thing, you're going to take people off that get there early and they're in a hurry to get to their spot because they don't want somebody else to take it, and then you're monkeying around on the ramp because you don't got your motor dropped down or you don't have your gas or you don't have this, you don't have that. If you're not ready to drop your boat in the water, hang back and let other guys go. And, if you're new to pulling a trailer and you're not completely comfortable backing it up, either have somebody with you that's comfortable or, wait till it clears out a little bit and you have a little more time. Cause, I can tell you right now, the pressure mounts pretty quickly when you got some upset hunters trying to get their boats in the water and you're sitting there having to back it up 400 times because you can't get the boat lined up. So, just be mindful when you're on the ramp. Make sure you're ready to go before you get up there and, just be efficient and, get on so everyone else can kind of get on to join their day as well. Boy, another one that really ticks me off. And I know I speak for a lot of people when I talk about this point, get to your spot on time. I mean, there is nothing, and I mean nothing worse than you get out, it's early, it's dark, you get out to your spot, you're setting decoys, you're doing everything right, you get settled in early, get quiet, get ready to go. Just, 2 minutes before shooting light comes and here comes a boat or a canoe or somebody out, lost in the dark or running behind and they come paddling through your decoys and, get into their spot and they set up, 100 yards away from you and now birds are flying and they're spooking and that kind of thing. If you're going to hunt. And that means be there early, get set up, especially when you're hunting public ground, because if you're showing up at daybreak, you're not going to get to this, there's going to be guys in the spot that you want to go to. You can almost guarantee that. So, make sure that if you sleep in and you're running late, it might be better off for you that day to just sleep in and go out midday or try to get an evening hunt in or something like that, because I can guarantee you're going to upset a lot of people if you come paddling through their decoys right at shooting light and, they're trying to get birds to work. So you wouldn't want somebody to do that to you. So, definitely don't do it to other people. To another point, and we've talked about this on the show before, I think we talked about this maybe when we were talking about hunting buddies or something like that. But, if a buddy or a friend or another hunter takes you out on a spot that's public ground that you've never hunted, don't go back to that same spot and just try to take it over like it's your own. I mean, if you go back there the next Saturday and he shows up and you're sitting there, you can guarantee he's going to be mad. I mean, I think the thing to do here is consider that spot something that, of course it's public ground. He doesn't own it, but it's just a courtesy that you should extend to them and try to make it like a group thing. See if you can become more frequent in that group that hunts that spot if it's something that you want to try to do. Likewise, don't go telling your other buddies or your other friends about this spot, because that guy was good enough and nice enough to show you that spot that he probably spent the time to scout out. The last thing that he needs is you telling 10 other buddies that are all going to start flooding that spot. It's just not the right thing to do. And, it's a quick way to burn bridges and make a lot of enemies. So, I think this goes without saying, but, definitely want to stay clear of that. I've talked about a lot of these different points, and pretty much all of them have revolved around people getting upset and people, getting angry with each other. Something that I can't really stress enough is, leave your temper and your ego and all that stuff at home. I mean, in the woods where everyone's carrying firearms and things of that nature is not the place to be, a hero out there and standing your ground and this, that, and the other. I mean, if guys are passionate, especially about waterfowl hunting, and it doesn't take long for a situation to escalate quickly, be the bigger man. It's not worth anyone getting hurt over. Pick another spot, pick a different day, whatever it is. Just nothing's worth a fight or an altercation. I mean, I've seen guys in the field in each other's face going at it, and there's kids there. I mean, think about the example that you're setting. Think about what that kid's going to remember about that day. He's not going to remember the sunrise. He's not going to remember the sound of the birds flying over. He's going to remember his dad and this other guy getting into it over, he was shooting at his birds when they were circling, or he was sky busting, or this and that. I can promise you it's not worth it. So be the bigger man, move on, hunt another day, turn the page, and just, don't let it ever get to that point. It's definitely not worth it. A couple more things just to sort of wrap up here with this. Some public areas have a lot of special regulations on them, and it's your responsibility as a hunter to know the regulations and to follow them. So you want to get other guys upset at you, do something that you're not supposed to be doing that might be specific to that piece of property. And I guarantee you, if they don't confront you, they're going to probably call a conservation officer or someone to come out and deal with you. So you might get people mad at you and you might get yourself in trouble. So make sure you check out the rules, know what's required, and follow them. And that will alone allow you to have a more successful hunt. A lot of these things have caused me to try to avoid public hunting in general. These days I tend to hunt more public access spots, meaning they're public access, meaning anyone can go up and hunt them, but they're more regulated. So they might have lotteries or drawings or only so many people per day, things of that nature. Where I hunt in Virginia, you have to be 500 yards from another legally licensed blind. So there's a lot of things put in place to keep guys from being on top of each other. And although the rules and learning all the regulations is a pain in the neck for sure, I have to say it has contributed to a more enjoyable hunt, because when I go to a lottery hunt, I have my blind for that Saturday morning, and I don't care that it's the first day of the third split or the cold front came through and everyone knows that birds are going to be on the move. I've got a spot that I know there won't be another hunter within 500 yards of me in any direction. And for me, that peace of mind is great, because like I said, I used to get that knot in my stomach as I'm driving up to the, parking lot to see, okay, how many guys are here? Is this guy a jerk? Is that guy a jerk? Have I seen this guy before? Do I know where he likes to hunt? All of those sort of things that are sort of racing through my mind as I approach the hunting parking lot. It's just, takes away from the hunt for me. So, if you have the opportunity to hunt military bases or public access parks, things of that nature that they manage through regulations and drawings and that kind of stuff, don't overlook them, because they can be fantastic access that, let's say it's an area that's, requires you to sit through like a 10-minute safety video. That alone is enough to deter certain guys from wanting to hunt there. If you're willing to do it, you might crack open, a new hunting spot that you never even knew was an opportunity for you. So definitely don't overlook those things, and know the rules. Pay attention when you're out there. Extend a little common courtesy to the guys around you, and you can definitely have some fantastic hunts on public ground. So you follow those steps, you're likely to have a great hunt. You don't, you can just as easily have a terrible hunt in a situation on your hands. So definitely not worth it. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather go out and have a great morning sitting in a blind and not firing my gun than be out there battling with guys and fighting with somebody every time you turn around over a mallard drake that circled too wide and somebody shot and this, that, and the other. It's just not worth it to me. So if you guys have any other things that you think are good sort of tips or golden rules or sort of rule of thumb that you use when you're hunting public ground, we'd love to hear from you, and definitely would share those with everyone else, because we all want to have successful and enjoyable hunts when we're out there. So feel free to reach out to us and enjoy that, and add to the discussion. Well, I know that this is our second episode of the monthly release that we've had since we changed from the weekly release. And I got to say, it's tough doing the monthly, because so much time goes between episodes. It actually makes it more difficult to prepare. I think sometimes when you're doing it weekly, it's just always on your mind, and there's always things coming up that you're thinking about. So Dan, I know I speak for him when I say that we're definitely looking forward to getting back to the weekly release schedule, and more than anything, it'll be hunting season when that's going on. So, I'm always looking forward to that. But, as we get into the summer months, everyone's busy and family trips going on and things of that kind of sort. So, we just want to make sure everyone stays safe. And if you have need to fill some time, catch up on some back episodes and things like that, and keep sending us your suggestions for tips and segments and things like that, and we'll do our best to incorporate all that stuff so that we can roll into the next season with a lot of stuff that you guys are interested in hearing, and we look forward to doing that. Before I kind of wrap up this show, and it's a little bit of a shorter episode this month, obviously, because it's just me and I don't have Dan to talk about basket weaving and minivans and caveman diets and Lord only knows what else he would bring up. But I talk like that, but it's more enjoyable when Dan's here, for sure. I like the banter back and forth with him. But we would like to thank our partners that help make this show in part possible and allow us to bring you guys these shows: Sitka Gear, Sport Ear, Higdon Outdoors, DeLorme, as I talked about earlier. Check out the app that they've come out with. Go onto their website. If you'd like to purchase that, you can get $10 off with the use of HP Outdoors as the discount code at checkout, and definitely take advantage of that. Big Owl Silhouette decoys, Bison coolers, where you can also use the HP Outdoors discount code for $15 off any hard side cooler, and Backwoods decoy systems. We certainly appreciate everybody's involvement with the show. I don't have Dan to ask him for his random thought for the day, so I'm going to go ahead and transition into this week's parting shot and kind of wrap up the show. So this week's parting shot has to deal with the recent holiday that we had, Memorial Day, and you've heard Dan and I talk a lot on this show about the military and the appreciation that we give for those that serve our nation. But, Memorial Day is a tough day for me to think about, because I know a lot of people, Memorial Day is the start of their summer. They party, they drink, they do that kind of stuff. They go to the beach. And for a lot of people, that have lost loved ones in the military, Memorial Day is a day of mourning. And, although Facebook and Twitter and everything lights up with people saying thank you for your service, I often wonder, do you ever stop and think, these families that have lost people overseas or through the military, Memorial Day is one day, but the day after Memorial Day feels the same way. And so does Christmas, and so does Thanksgiving, and so does New Year's Eve, and so does birthdays and anniversaries. I mean, these folks truly do make the ultimate sacrifice. And it's not just the warriors that are out there in the battlefield, but it's the families back home that have to move on when that kind of stuff happens. So make sure that you take the time to thank them, thank their families, and not just on Memorial Day. Thank them any day. They don't hear it enough. They sacrifice for this country, and they certainly deserve it. All right, that does it for episode 33 of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed dealing with me this week, talking about public land ethics and the Cackling Goose profile. I'll promise to have Dan back with me next time, and we'll bring you more great waterfowl content. If you want to check us out on iTunes and catch up on all the past episodes, feel free to leave us a 5-star rating and review. We certainly appreciate it, and we look forward to getting back to full strength next month and bringing you more great content. So until next time, for Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.